Oh man, where do I begin? All I can say is, bruh, let me tell you something. I can do this all day and all night, man. I can go back and forth with you all I want to. The fact is, you're never gonna beat me in the argument. You should have learned your lesson a long time ago when you tried to challenge me on boxing history, which you have no knowledge of, which you finally concede to you don't have any knowledge of. So now, your title Dan down. Well, I'm gonna title this video Sean down, okay? Because you again made some fallacies, even though you claim you didn't, but you certainly did in this video. So, and you made a lot of, well, yeah, I just said it. You made a lot of inaccurate statements. So let's begin with this video.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
The problem with Dan the Man is he continuously does the same things all the time.
No, I don't.
He fucking just doesn't follow the argument.
Yes, I do.
He always veers off on the topics that aren't even being discussed.
Yes, I do. What I do is I bring in other points to make the topics relevant. The problem is you don't like to do that. You don't like when I do that because they are very valid. So that's your problem. Let's continue.
When I made a video talking about you, Dan, and I specifically was saying you were pushing the agenda that if TC collected all the belts, then he deserved to be number one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's not an
and
agenda.
You were shitting on my opinion that I had Lomachenko number one. But
No. I didn't shit on your opinion. All I say is that, first of all, you're wrong to put him there at number one because, first of all, Lomachenko, yes, it's great that he's able to capture 2 division titles in less than 10 pro fights. That's great. But the problem is that you can't put a guy on there number one pound for pound if he hasn't even cleaned out his division yet, nor he's unified with any other champion. Now, that's my argument there. But you want to sit there and say, well, that's that's ludicrous. That's hate because, first of all, Lomachenko did something no other fighters done in history. Well, okay. Fine. I mean, many fighters have done many great things as no other fighters have ever done. But some of those fighters are those other fighters rate the greatest fighter of all time? So anyways, let's continue.
You're wrong, and you didn't even address this in your video. At least I haven't heard it yet.
Exactly, you haven't heard it.
But I have Terence Crawford ranked number one right now.
Wait a minute. So you have him ranked number one. Hold on, let me finish. Let me let you finish this.
Along with Lomachenko.
What the fuck? So you have Lomachenko at number one and Terence Crawford at number one. And then you say that, well, Terence Crawford hasn't beaten the elite fighters that Lomachenko has beaten. Really? Okay, I'm going to let you finish this, and then I'm going to continue. I'm going to comment back.
So, no, I'm not undervaluing Terence Crawford. I have both of them fucking ranked number one. So,
how?
What's your point?
Yeah, get to your point.
You're trying to make it seem as if I'm hating on Crawford.
No, I didn't say you hate on Crawford. I'm just saying that you're undermining what he's able to do and trying to propagate Lomachenko as him doing far greater things than Crawford. Nah, which is incorrect. So that's the problem I have. And yet when you don't like it, when I counter you with some actual arguments, you get upset, you get highly offensive, you cry like a little baby, like you always do. And yeah, and you just don't have any strong points to combat any of my arguments. So that's your problem.
But I have him ranked number one based on his victory over Diaz. I have him joining Lomachenko at the top of the stack now, right? You don't have Terence Crawford number one right now.
Exactly.
If he collects all the belts, then you think he deserves to be there because he's doing something historical.
Exactly.
And that's true. And real boxing fans, me included, think it's great. Just like we thought Gennady Golovkin doing it was going to be great too.
Well, here, before we get to Golovkin, let me ask you this. If Crawford does collect the other 2 belts from Ndongo, if hopefully the IBF does come to their senses and go ahead and sanction that fight for all the belts to be on the line, will you give Terence Crawford the credit to give him pound for pound number one? I don't think you will. Because you'll find any excuses to degrade Ndongo, just like you degraded his victories over Victor Postol, his victories over what's his name, Yorgos Gamboa. Although, I'll get to Gamboa in a second, but let me continue.
Just like if Kovalev did it with Stevenson, it would have been great as well.
Exactly, but you do realize that Kovalev ducked the fight with Stevenson the second time when he had a chance to unify with all the titles. He backed out of the purse bid. You tend to not forget about that. You tend to forget about that now, right? Yes, Stevenson ducked the fight the first time when he refused to sign on an agreement with HBO to take the fight with Kovalev. Yes, I came after Stevenson for that. But that does not undermine the fact that Kovalev had the chance to unify, become the undisputed champion, and he didn't. Well, at least his promoter didn't do it. Why? Because she always wanted to dictate terms. Terms, and she wanted things done her way. Kathy Duva. And since she couldn't get things her way, what she was trying to do, excuse my language. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack that. What she wanted to do is that when Kovalev got installed the mandatory challenger for the WBC title, which is totally unheard of because no other champion becomes a mandatory for another champion's title, Kathy Duva got the WBC to install Kovalev as the mandatory challenger at one of their conventions a couple years back. When she succeeded in doing that, when the WBC called for a purse bid between Kovalev and Stevenson to be made, Stevenson said, okay, I'll be happy to oblige. Knowing that Kathy Duva had no chance of hell to win that purse bid against Al Hammond, she decides to pull out. Just like that. You know why she pulled out? Because she was hoping that Stevenson was going to vacate that WBC title. And since he didn't, she pulled out. Cowardly move, in my opinion. And she also hoped that if he had vacated, that Kovalev will fight for that title against another ranked contender in a vacant fashion and win it. That's what she was hoping for. But apparently that plan didn't go well for her now, did it? Now let's continue.
We're not ranking Terrence Crawford above those guys because of him doing something other people were also trying to do.
Exactly. They both didn't want to do it. They had a chance, and especially with Golovkin too. Golovkin had a chance to fight Saunders, for the undisputed middleweight title. He had a chance. He had no sanctioned bodies getting in his way, but he opted out of it. So yes, they didn't want it. They had the chance, but they didn't want it. And yes, they deserve to be criticized for that. But yet you have a problem when me and others call them out on that bullshit. When they say that, well, I want to unify with all the other champions. I want to do great things. And yet they have a chance to do great things, but they choose to take the money route instead. So there you have it. Of course, Kovalev's situation is a little, well, yeah, Kovalev's situation is different than Golovkin's, but it is what it is. Let's continue.
It is a great resume move. But
no, it isn't.
Who did he beat to collect these belts? That's the thing that you're not talking about. That's the thing many of you guys aren't talking about.
Yes, I am.
And I'm not discrediting him because obviously his resume is still a work in progress.
Just like Lomachenko's.
So good. But 140 has been pretty weak, and he doesn't have really any elite stellar names on his resume. That's just a fact, right?
Really? Yorgos Gamboa is not an elite name? I mean, Raymond Beltran is not an elite name on his resume? I mean, what are you talking about, man? Jesus Christ. I mean, Gamboa was a unified champion at featherweight, the super featherweight, okay? He beat Orlando Salido in his prime and also beat, hold on, I'm having technical difficulties here. What the hell happened here? Forgive me. Technology. All right, I'm back now. I was able to get this up. This damn thing frozen on me. YouTube. All right, anyways. Yeah, I mean, look, where was I? Oh, yeah. Gamboa beat Orlando Salido in his prime, okay, to unify the titles. And who did he beat after that? He beat Daniel Ponce de Leon, the same Daniel Ponce de Leon who unofficially beat Adrian Broner, who also beat Johnny Gonzalez, who, by the way, you give him Gary Russell Jr. full credit for that win. And other than that, who did Gary Russell beat other than Johnny Gonzalez, who was way over there, who was shot, and who'd been knocked out multiple times already? Who did Russell beat after that? Nobody. But yeah, you say Gary Russell Jr. was a greater win for Lomachenko than Crawford beating Gamboa? Gamboa was undefeated when Crawford fought him. You are tripping, dude. I mean, that's no surprise, but let's continue.
So, let's go back to see how he won his title. So, he won his first vacant WBO World Super Lightweight title against Thomas Delorme.
Exactly.
Right? A vacant title. He didn't beat a champion to win it, and isn't this...
Yeah, exactly. Well, guess what? Delorme beat up becoming a hot prospect in Kareem Mayfield, okay? And he was an underdog in that fight. So you got to give Delorme credit for that. Let's continue.
It's one of the criticisms you consistently have about Gennady Golovkin.
Nope, incorrect. First of all, the reason I criticize Golovkin for winning and having the other two belts is the fact that he never won those two belts in the ring. See, you don't understand the difference between winning a title in the ring versus being gifted a belt. Now, fighting for a vacant title, yeah, you're not fighting the champion to get it, but at least you're fighting for it in the actual fight. And that can be very tough. Golovkin was gifted 2 titles. He didn't win any titles in a vacant fashion. Yes, he collected one of the titles, that was against David Lemieux, which I did by the way, give him credit for. Okay? But the fact is that it remains. He was gifted 2 belts. But yet, you want to say that, that's perfectly fine being gifted 2 belts. I mean, first of all, you can't, that to me, you lose points on your record for doing that, number one. Yes, it's not his fault that he was gifted 2 other belts. But to say that he has, that his run at middleweight is similar to Hopkins and Hagler, please. Those guys won all their titles in the ring. Vacant or not, they did it. They weren't handed belts. They won them in the ring. And it was a very difficult thing for them to do. But they did it. And yet, you want to say that's very similar to what Golovkin did when he was handed 2 belts? Please, let's continue.
Right. But fine, Delorme is not a bad name.
Exactly,
It's not a stellar name. He's not a world beater.
Yeah, so is, what's his name? I mean, Jason Sosa's not a stellar name, and neither is Rocky Martinez. He's not a stellar name. And neither is Gary Russell. Yeah, Gary Russell's got a work in progress. He's coming up. He's building his resume, but he's not a stellar name as of yet. He's a good fighter. But let's continue.
This is the same Delorme that was knocked out by Luis Carlos Abreu, right? And then went on after that, and his big wins to push him into this championship level fight were guys like Kareem Mayfield
and
Hank Lundy.
Yeah.
Not fucking top 10 caliber fighters. Good, hard-working professionals, but not fucking top 10 guys. Not championship level dudes. So he ended up getting this division, this opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford for a vacant title, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who beat Lundy by split decision, and Lundy is a guy who fights at 135 pounds, right?
Yeah.
This was the same Delorme who got knocked out by Luis Abreu at welterweight. So he was coming down to 140. Lundy was coming up to 140 for them to meet for the NABF Super Lightweight title and vacant WBO NABO Super Lightweight title.
Well, guess what? Lomachenko fought a couple guys who weren't rated in the top 10 either. I mean, actually 3 of them. He fought Parmiango in his 4th pro fight after he beat Russell for the vacant WBO title, a featherweight title, right? After Salido lost it on the scales. He also beat Guillermo Rodriguez. So he fought 2 guys who weren't even rated in the top 10, other than being rated in the top 15 by the WBO. But they weren't top 10 rated fighters. So with that said, if you're going to penalize Crawford for not fighting guys who are not ranked in the top 10 worldwide, you got to do the same thing for Lomachenko, because he fought 2 of them so far. Actually, he fought 3 of them. And Jose Ramirez in his first pro fight. So actually 4 of them, including Jose Ramirez. But let's continue. Be consistent.
It's a good win. But let's not act like Delorme was a champion. He wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But he fought. He was a better fighter than fighting Jose Ramirez and Parmiango and Rodriguez and Kozishoka. Yeah, he's a way better fighter than those 4 guys. Let's continue. And so was Britus Prescott.
He was never a world champion.
Never, yeah. So was the other guys. They weren't world champions either.
Just like everyone expected him to do. And since then, he's fought 2 guys nobody's heard of, beat them, and now he's going to fight, a good Cuban fight.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Nobody really knows who Rocky Martinez is either. I mean, unless you're a hardcore boxing fan. All right? And nobody's ever heard of Parmiango, Rodriguez, and Kazuzoka, and of course Ramirez. So, again, be consistent with your criticism, man. Be consistent. And besides, every great fighter has fought no names, has fought, lower tier opposition. But the fact is, Terrence is doing the work. He is doing the work. He's doing far more work than Lomachenko is. And yes, Lomachenko's got ways to go. That's why I said that you cannot put him in a number 1 pound for pound, especially guys over like Andre Ward. Okay? You can't put him above Andre Ward. I mean, if that's what you want to do, so be it. But the fact is, when I point out the fact that his resume is nowhere near close to Andre Ward's or Terrence Crawford, you have a problem with it. But yeah, let's continue.
Fighter in Ugas, right? Not a world beater either. Not a top 10 fighter as well. Ugas is a good fighter. 19-3 with 9 KOs. A guy who got beat by Amir Iman, right? A guy who got beat by Emmanuel Robles, right? And doesn't have any win against anybody really significant.
Well, neither does Paryango. All right. I mean, who did Paryango beat? I mean, you look at his resume. He's been fighting in Thailand his entire life, but Lomachenko beat him. Okay, this is the same Paryango who lost to Miguel Belchak. All right, and credit to Belchak, he's the only guy to knock out Paryango. But yeah, again, who did Paryango beat? Who's elite? But let's give Lomachenko credit for that win, right? And who did Jose Ramirez beat? Who were the elite fighters that he beat? All right. And what about Guillermo Rodriguez? Who were the elite fighters that he beat? Yeah, come on, man. Be consistent with your criticism, okay? Yeah, I mean Rodriguez. The only time he ever got a shot against elite fighter at the time was Orlando Cruz, but other than that, that was it. So Lomachenko, same thing. He's beaten guys that hasn't beat any elite fighters. Let's continue.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
But for these two guys, this is a good level fight. They're basically on the same level.
No, they're not.
So it should be a competitive fight. The winner obviously will push himself into a good opportunity next. Then, what did he do? He ended up fighting Dirijan and Hank Lundy, 235-pound fighters who came up to...
Yeah, Terrence Crawford fight at 135 as well. I mean, you tend to forget about that. Terrence Crawford is a 135-pound fighter. So, again, don't get it twisted. Don't fool your audience with that weight argument bullshit with Crawford, okay? Let's continue.
Challenge him. Two smaller fighters who came up to challenge him at 140. And then he fought Victor Postol to unify titles, right?
Yeah.
So there he is. And Victor Postol is a fighter that basically, before beating Matisse, was nobody.
Okay, yeah, he beat Matisse, but who did Rodriguez beat, and who did Paryango beat? I mean, these are the questions I'm gonna have to ask you again. Who did those guys beat? Who did Ramirez beat? And who did Kosiak beat? They beat nobody. But at least Postol got greater wins than those guys. Yeah, Salkin Aydin. Yeah, Salkin Aydin was was an overhyped job fighter at welterweight who had no, who pretty much has no skill, who's very, very limited welterweight. We all know that. But at least Salkin Aydin is well known than than these other four guys, than Roman Kazaki and Ramirez and Paryango and Rodriguez. So come on. Again, stay consistent. Stay consistent.
Nobody knew who he was. Many people felt he lost to Hank Lundy, right?
Yeah, we all agree that Hank Lundy gets robbed in all his fights.
And then his best win was against Selçuk Aydin, a guy that wasn't a great fighter. He's a hard
and
puncher.
I mentioned to you that league. Yeah, Salkin Aydin is definitely not a great fighter. Okay, but at least he's well known and he has credible wins than those other four guys that I mentioned that Lomachenko beat. So why don't you go on Lomachenko record, go at him for fighting those other guys that I mentioned? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You're making this easy for me. Let's continue.
A flat-footed, stationary guy who's easy to fucking hit. A guy who lost to Robert Guerrero and Soto Carras, showing his level. Not a champion type of guy.
Yeah,
right?
neither were the other four guys that
Guerrero
Lomachenko beat.
WBC world title, but that's, of course, Guerrero getting more great opportunities to do something based on a limited resume and limited talent, but obviously a good backstory. And we've seen that time and time again, but nonetheless. Yeah. And so then he beat Selçuk Aydin, who then went on to fight guys who had records of, and he beat DeMarcus.
Yeah, I mean, you keep sitting on Salkin Aydin. Yeah, he's not a great fighter, but at least he got Jojo Dan on his resume. I mean, Jojo Dan and DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, which is way, way over the hill Chop Chop Corley. Yeah, but at least those guys he beat those guys who are far better opponents than than the other guys that I mentioned that that Lomachenko had beaten those other four guys that I mentioned. So come on, man. Come on, yeah. Paryango, Rodriguez, Kosiak, and Ramirez. I keep mentioning their names, but I want you to understand who those guys are when Lomachenko fought them. But let's continue.
Corley to get this opportunity to fight Postol, right? Corley, who was 39-20-1, and then after getting beat by Postol, he fought a guy who was 32-2.
Yeah, 15, Corley is way, way over the hill, but yeah, I know.
This is the level of fighters that Selçuk Aydin was fighting.
Exactly. Look at the other four guys that Lomachenko beat. Look at their level of opposition.
He got the Matisse fight. Matisse, who is one of the best guys at 140, yes, but also a guy who's never been a world champion. He's never been a world champion.
Exactly.
Never won
Neither was
a world
Pryorong,
championship.
neither was Ramirez, and neither
A good
was
fighter, but
Rodriguez
just
and
not a guy
Kosikov.
who
They
was
were
able
never
to
world
get over
champions.
that hurdle and become a world champion. So, okay, this is a guy who had a world champion shot against Danny Garcia. He lost, right?
Yeah.
He had
Pryorong and
an
Ramirez, same
opportunity
thing. They
against
all lost in
Postol.
their title fights.
He lost.
Yeah.
This guy was never able to get over that hump. Now he's moving up to 147, hoping that he can do it there.
Oh, yeah, by the way, before you continue, let me tell you about Pryorong. Pryorong has fought 12, 15 guys with losing records in his career. 15 guys with losing records, okay? Now, you telling me that him, what you call it, with Lomachenko being Pryorong that's more significant than the other guys that Crawford beat, like Postol? Please, man, get the fuck out of here. Let's continue.
And he looked good in his last fight against Emmanuel Taylor, right? But Emmanuel Taylor is not a top 10 welterweight.
No, we know that.
Right? So, this is how Crawford won his titles. By beating who?
You're always Gamboa.
Right? Postol.
Yeah.
And Delorme. And now, he can win his final title by beating who?
Ndongo.
Indongu, a guy that nobody knows who he was.
Exactly.
This was a guy who was not even ranked in the top 10 by that sanctioning body and was picked as an easy fucking cherry pick fight by Troyanovsky, which backfired miserably. And then went to Scotland to beat a 135-pound guy who could no longer beat the top guys at 135.
Yeah, that 135-pound guy is Ricky Burns. As I mentioned before, Ndongo captured 2 world titles in 6 months, which is very unprecedented. Which is very unheard of. Nobody, that's very, very remarkable for a guy who come out of nowhere to do that, number one. Number two, Ricky Burns also beat Rocky Martinez. Yeah, you don't want to mention that, too. The same Rocky Martinez that you give Lomachenko full credit for that win. Yeah, you didn't mention that. Why not? Why not, Sean? Let's continue.
And moved to 140 and was basically given a title in a fight many people don't even feel he won.
Yeah, but he won the title. It is what it is.
He was outboxed by Ndongu.
Yeah.
So now this is the guy.
Exactly. Ndongo beat him much better than Crawford did.
Right. Delorme, Postol, Ndongu. And it's great that he's getting all those titles, but let's be serious. When you're pound for pound number 1, it's based on who you're beating, how you're beating them. The reason I have him there is because he's fighting good level fighters, and he's dominating.
Yeah, Andre Ward did too. So why didn't you have him rated pound for pound number 1? Oh, because the way he fought against Kovalev. Well, guess what? If Kovalev actually won that fight against Andre Ward, would you still have him rated pound for pound number 1? I think you would. Why? Because you're gonna come out and make a video and say he beat he beat a world champion, unified world champion who dominated his division, who's an Olympic gold medalist. So Kovalev deserved to be number 1 pound for pound if he had beaten Andre Ward. That's what you have done. But no, since he didn't beat Andre Ward, you refuse to put Andre Ward number 1 pound for pound, despite his record of accomplishments, something he did that nobody thought he would be able to do, which is win the Super 6. So yeah, let's continue.
But he's not fighting great level fighters, right? All the great level fighters
neither is Lomachenko.
we know are sitting there at 147 waiting for him to go up and challenge them.
Exactly. Why don't Lomachenko do the same thing? And besides, before he does that, I'd rather him try to collect all the belts at 130. Now, I know you mentioned Nicholas Walters, but before I get to Nicholas Walters, let me let you bring him up.
Not that he needs to do that now. He doesn't need to jump over weights and rush into those opportunities, but everybody is waiting for that because everybody knows those are where the real fights are.
Yeah.
The only people pushing so hard to this Lomachenko fight are guys who are trying to push the same narrative you're pushing, which you've openly stated.
What?
So why are you getting angry?
Openly state what? What narrative? Further elaborate.
You said it. If he wins these titles, it's a legendary accomplishment because lots of people haven't done it, so he deserves to be pound for pound number 1.
Exactly.
But you're not talking about the level of competition.
Yes, I am.
You're not talking about who he beat to accomplish that.
Really? Let me ask you something. Who did Vladimir Klitschko beat? He didn't fight in the era where there were a lot of great heavyweights, but he dominated the heavyweight era, okay? And yet you give Vladimir Klitschko full praises for the fighters he fought and beat. But he didn't fight his other brother Vitaly. Well, we all know why. We all, for obvious reasons, why he didn't do it. So how is that different from what Crawford is doing? Yeah, it's not Crawford's fault that he doesn't have the let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not fighting guys that there's no guy in his division that's not like on his level as far as his skill set is concerned. The only guy there is Odongo who can match him. He probably not skill for skill, but who can give him problems because he's just as awkward. He's just as fast. He can box. He can punch. Despite the fact he has a low knockout ratio, but Odongo does get a little wild with his hooks. That's his Achilles heel. So other than that, why are you trying to penalize Crawford just the fact that he's fighting guys who's not on his level? That's not his fault. The point is he's fighting everybody that's there to fight in his division. Just like how you gave Vladimir Klitschko credit for doing in his run at middleweight. At heavyweight. So let's continue.
Right? This guy you love to rip, Lomachenko,
No, I don't.
One loss in his career. A loss.
I don't rip Lomachenko. My only problem is that it's ridiculous that you and others have put him pound for pound number one over guys like Andre Ward. Hell, he deserved to be pound for pound number one over Sergey Kovalev. That's a slap in the face to Kovalev. If you guys put him over, you put him number one over Kovalev. Kovalev did far better things than Lomachenko. He beat far better opposition than him. So I'm surprised you didn't even include Kovalev in this equation. But let's continue.
In his second fight against a multiple weight champion, right, in Salido, who came in well overweight, lost his championship on the scale.
Against
Rigondeaux. At that point, Lomachenko could have just said, "Fuck you, I ain't fighting you. You didn't even make weight," and they would have just ended up resetting up another opponent.
Yeah, because he thought he could outbox him, which is a good thing.
Anyway,
the good thing he did take that fight anyway.
That's the way things could have played out. But good on him, showing balls to fucking follow through and take that fight.
Yeah.
Even when this guy was blatantly fucking cheating on the scale to get an advantage.
Okay.
And then blatantly cheating in the ring, fouling him like fucking crazy.
Right.
But the point is, it's a loss.
It is
Nobody's
a loss.
saying it isn't. But you don't base a guy on one loss early on in his career.
Yes, I do.
Pacquiao also lost early in his career. B-Hop lost his first fight of his career.
Yeah, I do.
Does that mean you don't rate him all-time great?
No, of course not. Let me tell you something. I'm not gonna rate. I don't rate guys all-time greats all based off losses. Okay, I rate them based off the things they were able to do in the ring. Okay, losses are losses. All great fighters are gonna take losses. Okay, I rate them based off the fights they've done, the risks they took, and the championships they won, and the caliber opponents that they beat. Okay, now let's play devil's advocate here. If this is Bernard Hopkins who won 2 world titles in less than 10 pro fights, it's great that he's doing that. It's great. It's a great thing, but I'm not going to put him pound for pound number one. No, it's common sense and logic. Why do I need to do that? First of all, B-Hop has to show me that he can do more than just winning multiple titles in weight classes, going up and jumping down in weight classes like that. He's got to unify with the other champions. He's got to start taking risks. He's got to start doing all the other things that great fighters do. Fight all the best champions that you can fight. Fight the dangerous opposition. Lomachenko's got ways to go, before anybody consider him pound for pound number one other than you. Okay? And Crawford, yes. Crawford has some little bit of work to do as well. I'm not putting him pound for pound number one. So, yes, until he cleans out his division, which he's close to doing, and he becomes undisputed champion, which he's one fight away from doing that, then, yeah, I'm going to put him up there pound for pound number one because he's been able to do something that no other fighter's done in the last decade. So let's go ahead and continue here.
Because, fuck, man, look, he got lost. He got beat by a nobody. Salido was at least a multi-weight champion, a guy who had proven himself.
Yeah, so it's I know that he is a multi-weight champion. So what? I mean, Gamboa he was never a unified champion, and Gamboa was a unified champion. And Gamboa was a guy who beat Salido to take his title. But yet you want to discredit Crawford for beating Gamboa. Hey, let's continue.
Now you push out this bullshit about me not wanting Lomachenko to fight Salido in a rematch.
Of course you don't. You don't.
This is where people expose themselves.
No, because you're flip-flopping. Because in one of your previous videos, you attacked the LDBC members for wanting who's calling on Lomachenko to take that rematch, but yet you're saying that no, he shouldn't take that rematch. Why? What for? He got bigger fish to fight than fight Salido in a rematch. I mean, if you want to be considered a great fighter, don't you want to avenge your losses? I mean, Lennox Lewis did it. Lennox Lewis is one of the few guys who's beat all the other guys he's faced in his career. He's one of the few guys who you could say that has done that. Lomachenko could do the same thing. That's all we're asking. Take the rematch. If you don't want the rematch, just say, you know what, I don't want the rematch. And Lomachenko came out and said he don't want the rematch. And yes, he got criticized for saying he don't want the rematch. Fine. That's their, the LDBC channels and others can do that. That's their problem. They can do that. But don't get upset when we call out Lomachenko for not wanting to take the rematch. I mean, just like you criticize other fighters for doing the same thing, not taking on fights that you think they should take. So let's continue.
Because you and I both know that once that Salido fight gets signed, then it's going to be turned and people are going to start hating on Lomachenko fighting this guy who hasn't got a win in his last 3 fights.
No.
Except for this win he just got and got dropped on his ass in the process.
No,
right?
That's not true.
Against a nobody.
That's not true.
This is the guy all you guys want to see Lomachenko fight. I have no problem with Lomachenko.
Oh yeah, before you continue, as I mentioned in one of my prior videos, you didn't mention this. I did mention you didn't have any response to this, I should say. I did mention that Nonito Donaire came in with a serious weight advantage over Guillermo Regadao in their championship fight for the super bantamweight title, the unification bout, right? Donaire tried to use rough out tactics against Regadao, but that didn't work. In the process, Regadao, embarrassed, humiliated, and broke the orbital of Nonito Donaire. And Donaire hasn't been the same fighter ever since. So I didn't see you and others complain about Donaire coming in overweight. In fact, if Donaire had overweight, coming in with his, with a supreme weight advantage over Regadao. In fact, if Donaire had beaten Regadao, you guys wouldn't call screaming about a guy being overweight, having his weight advantage. So I mean, come on, be consistent. Let's continue.
Go fighting Salido, right? Because I know he'll fucking kill him.
Yeah.
Salido's not going to go 6 fucking rounds.
Well, I mean, he couldn't do that in his first fight. Oh, boy. All right, let's continue.
And then people are going to say, oh, this isn't fucking a big deal. Salido's nobody. He's got fucking 15 losses in his resume.
No.
He hasn't won against a top-level opponent in how long, right? This is exactly what people are going to say.
No.
But fine, let's get it out of the way, because we know what Lomachenko is going to do afterwards is try to unify with guys at the division who are ducking him and don't want him because he already called them out. He gave Corrales a contract. Corrales didn't want it.
Actually, where's your evidence of that? Because I've looked all over that. There's no sign of that. In fact, let's look it up again. Because I looked all over that, and there is no indication that Corrales got a contract to sign for a Salido fight. None. All right? Well, actually, you know what? You're actually right. He did reject the fight. All right, never mind. You're absolutely right about that. So I forgot to criticize Corrales for not taking that fight. But it is what it is. All right? But other than that, if you can't get Corrales, you can't get Davis to fight you, then okay. Then next option you could do is avenge your loss against Orlando Salido. And then if you can't get no other champions to fight you in division, move up and wait. I mean, a lot of great fighters have done it. So if you can't get no other champion to fight you, move up the weight, find other challenges. So be it. So if Lomachenko does that, and then 135 where all the great fights can be made down there, cool. Mikey Garcia definitely want to take that fight, so I would love to see that fight. So let's go ahead and continue.
Burchell would rather fight a guy who fucking got beat. I mean, okay, he has a good win in his last fight, but in fucking Mura. And Gervonta Davis and his team is blatantly ducking Lomachenko. Right? But we want all these guys to unify titles. Except here, now, with Davis, well, we don't want him to unify titles because we don't want him to get beat by Lomachenko.
Yeah, but you also know that Lomachenko and his team are notorious for lowballing offers. Okay? Because this is why they couldn't get that little Salido rematch in the beginning. They try to lowball the offer just like they try to lowball Corrales. So, just to think of it. So yes, did Corrales duck the fight? Absolutely. But the fact is that he was lowballed and offered, just like they've done to Salido, just like they've done to Nicholas Walters in the past. Although not Nicholas Walters did ultimately take the fight at a lower offer that he was given. So It is what it is. Let's continue.
Right? This is the reality. This is the thing you're not saying.
I am saying it.
You know, we'd rather push the Salido fight, which we can later on criticize and rip, because who is fucking Orlando Salido?
Yeah, the guy who beat him. Yeah, why not? Hold on.
He's a guy who's 43, 13 and 4. Been knocked out 5 times. A guy who just got dropped against fucking Perez, a 39 and 2 guy, in his Stay Busy fight. Prior to that, had a draw against Vargas, a draw against Martinez, and lost to Martinez.
Yeah.
And you have to go all the way back to 2014 when he beat a guy who was 1-0, Vasily Lomachenko.
Yeah, he beat him.
Right? For his last great victory. Prior to that, he got beat by Mikey Garcia in 2000.
Yeah, but you didn't mention that he beat Juan Lopez twice, a fight that he was an underdog against. So, in the second fight, he battled back and knocked him out. So, why didn't you mention Juan Lopez? Let's continue.
13. You know, Lomachenko and his people are thinking about great unification fights and moving up to 135 pounds to fight guys like Mikey Garcia. But you guys want him to fight Salido.
Why not? Avenge that loss and then fight Garcia. Why not?
Doesn't have a title. Doesn't have a big win at fucking 130 pounds. But this is the guy you want to push, as opposed to have Lomachenko unify titles by...
Yeah, before you continue to rabble on, Lennox Lewis fought Oliver McCall in the rematch. Yeah, the same Oliver McCall that knocked him out to take away his WBC title. Yes, Oliver McCall didn't have a title then, but he fought him in a vacant title, for a vacant title. But the point is that he fought guys like Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman to avenge his losses. So why not? All great fighters have done it. I mean, Jeff Finnick and what's his name? Zuma Nelson. Yes, they fought in a grudge match. Both fighters were retired. They were way, way past their prime. But the fact is they both fought in a grudge match. And the fact is that Jeff Finnick avenged his loss against Zuma Nelson. So, I mean, if great fighters can do that, so can Lomachenko. So why not fight Salido, avenge that loss, and then move up to 135? What's the problem? Let's continue.
Beating other champions, right? For some reason, when it comes to Lomachenko...
No, babe. This is driving me nuts.
All right, come on. I will.
What is this obsession? How long is this going to take?
5 minutes.
He's like, this is
Yeah. Anyways, y'all, let's continue.
Unifying belts in this division or at 126, nobody's pushing that.
Yeah,
nobody's even talking about it. You know, people are making excuses. You know, I'm happy to see that Vargas is fighting Mura. It's a good fight. And I'm glad to see Corrales on the same card is fighting, the guy who just knocked out Gamboa, who you're pushing as a better win than Gary Russell.
Exactly.
Right? This is what you're pushing.
Exactly. As I said before, Gary Russell, who did he beat other than totally shocked Johnny Gonzalez? Nobody. Gamboa was undefeated when Crawford beat him. Before Crawford beat him. So what's the point? Well, I mean, your argument falls flat on that. So shut the fuck up. Let's continue.
He's a better win.
Yeah, he is.
Than Gary Russell.
Exactly.
Because you said Gary Russell's best win is a multiple weight champion.
Yeah, who didn't win a unification bout. The same guy who lost to Daniel Ponce de Leon. All right? The same guy that Salido beat. Let's continue.
Who's also just moved up in weight, right? In Johnny Gonzalez, who he obliterated. The same Johnny Gonzalez who fucking obliterated Mares.
Yeah, he caught him with one good shot. That's it. You can only get caught with one good shot. And we all know that Mares didn't, wasn't the same fighter after that. But hey, credit to Gonzalez for doing that to Albert Mares. But it is what it is.
Just prior to that. But you want to make that seem like it's not a good win. After getting beat by Lomachenko in a very good fight where Russell didn't embarrass himself, and Russell was considered the favorite by many of you guys in YouTube.
Yeah.
And you don't want to give him credit. People are making all kinds of excuses already.
What are you talking about? We gave him credit for that win against Russell. Ah, man, you just spewing a lot of innuendo and falsies. But let's go ahead.
If Gamboa and Russell were to fight, you tell me you'd pick Gamboa to beat Gary Russell? Come on, man. You know Gary Russell would fucking knock him out.
No. First of all, that's a 50-50 fight. Can't pick a winner because they both are, they're both pretty, very skillful fighters. Particularly Gamboa. Gamboa is probably a little bit better athletic. That he has a little bit more athleticism than Gary Russell. So yeah, it's a 50-50 fight. Not picking a winner on that. It's a 50-50 fight. But go ahead. Yeah, keep your dog and stop barking.
Just went on to beat Patrick Hyland, 31-1-0. That's okay. I didn't fucking praise him for fighting a world beater, but we also
but you praised Lomachenko for fighting, beating 4 other world beaters that I mentioned earlier in this video. But go ahead.
Know that he's having a hard time getting the top guys at 126 to fight.
Exactly, because he's lowballing the offers, just like Golovkin was doing in middleweight.
He's now threatening to move up to 130 pounds if he can't get a unification fight. That's why I want Gary Russell to fight Rigo. Great fight. How come none of you guys are pushing for that fight? Rigo can't get a top guy. Russell can't get a top.
First of all, I've pushed Rigondeaux to move up for a long time now. I've been pushing him to do that for the last 2 years. I mean, you haven't been really looking at my videos, haven't you? Okay? Now, I know Rigondeaux's got a mandatory fight coming up against Mosi Flores on the undercard of World Kovalev 2, which is about 3 weeks away. Now, here's what I implore Rigondeaux to do. After you finish doing, taking care of business with Flores, move up and go up to 126. I've been saying that he needs to do that for a long time now, since he can't get those other damn champions to fight him at 122, which is very evident. He needs to start doing that. So, yeah, let's continue.
Okay, boom, match made in heaven. Let's make that fight, right? Then we will have a real good indication of what kind of fighter Gary Russell is, stepping in to fight Rigo, right? The guy that everybody says could beat Lomachenko, even though when he was offered a contract, he didn't sign.
No, he didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what some of these guys who are crapping on Lomachenko have to do.
Yeah, and I criticize Rigondeaux for not taking that fight, but it is cool.
People talked about him being the weakest champion.
Well, yeah, as I mentioned, Rocky Martinez lost to Ricky Burns. So, and yet you discredit Crawford for beating Burns, and Adongo for beating Burns.
This division. But then they praised Gervonta Davis for beating a guy who people said was the weakest champion at the weight. You see the hypocrisy? This was a guy winning his second weight division in his 7th fight. Unlike Gervonta Davis, who had 17, I think that was his 17th fight.
I see. I guess this is where you have this misconception when it comes to praising a fighter for doing one thing and then praising a fighter for doing another thing. Again, no one is slating. I'm going to use the word slating, just like my UK counterparts like to use. No one is slating Lomachenko for what he's able to accomplish. The only problem is that you and others are putting him pound for pound number 1 based off of little accomplishments. That's the problem. No one's putting Gervonta Davis pound for pound number 1. No one's even putting him in the top 10. Okay? No one's doing that. Not the LDBC. We're not putting him in the top 10. No one's doing that. Okay? But yet you're doing that with Lomachenko, who's accomplished very little so far. Yes, again, he's great that he's a 2-division world champion, but you see the problem is that with your argument about praising somebody doing great things and then put them above a pedestal, way above guys like Andre Ward, who did far better work, and Sergey Kovalev, who did far better work than Vasily Lomachenko. You're putting him above those guys. Yeah, that's something that I have and others have to dispute. So there's a difference. Let's continue.
First title shot and first step-up fight. Then he went on to beat Nicholas Walters. Nicholas Walters, who was an undefeated champion.
Yeah, he beat Nonito Donaire, the same Nonito Donaire who got humiliated by Guillermo Rigondeaux. Yeah, I give Walters credit for that win. But other than that, who did he beat after that? A washed-up, way over the hill, totally shot Victor Artinian. Okay? Other than that, who did Walters beat? Okay, was Walters a unified champion like Gamboa? I mean, has Walter had a better pedigree than Raymond Beltran? I mean, come on, let's think about this now. Okay? Let's think about it. So again, I definitely give Lomachenko credit for that win. But to say that, but it is what it is, man. But let's continue.
Who fucking beat Donaire, a multiple weight champion, past pound for pound fighter.
Yeah, the same Donaire that Guillermo Rigondeaux humiliated, as I mentioned. And Donaire was never the same fighter after that, going into that Walters fight. So yeah, basically, Donaire was Rigondeaux's leftovers. Walters beat and left over by Rigondeaux. But let's continue.
Fighter of the year. He beat him far more impressively than Rigo did, right? That's just a fact.
Yeah, he knocked him out. That's good.
He destroyed him.
Yeah, like again, Donaire wasn't the same fighter after that, after the beating he took from Rigondeaux. Let's continue.
After that win, people were talking about Donaire should just retire. That's what people were saying. And people were saying that Walters was the best fighter from 122 to 130 pounds. People were saying that Lomachenko was ducking him.
Really?
This was a guy who people were outraged when Sosa got a draw with him.
Yeah, that was a robbery.
After he beat Mariaga, who we know is a quality fighter, because we just...
Yeah, we all know that. Sosa Sosa lost that fight, but yet they awarded him a draw. That was a blatant disgrace of a scoring right there.
Saw Mariaga have a great fight with Valdez. But now, after Lomachenko beats him, now nobody's talking about Walters. People are making excuses. They're trying to act like this wasn't a great, significant win. And Sosa, who gave Walters a great fight, ended up going on to fight Fortuna, a guy other people, I don't know if you said this, but many other people did, John Boxing and others, talked about how Fortuna is the fighter that they wanted Lomachenko to fight next. They feel that Fortuna would knock Lomachenko out. People were pushing that fight hard. Some people don't know who Fortuna is, but the people who did know, that's what they were saying, right? Sosa went in there, was getting beat the whole fight, showing Fortuna's quality, and then basically stopped him in the last round or the 11th round.
Yeah, credit Sosa for that. But the fact is, he's not a world champion. Okay, don't cite the WBA regular title as a credible title. It's not. All that title is a mandatory. It's pretty much a mandatory belt to the actual champion. That's all it is. And by the way, I know you mentioned Jacobs later in this video. Now, I'm going to get ahead of you on that one. I never gave Jacobs credit of being the WBA regular champion. No. All I said is that he's a credible opponent for Golovkin. That's all I said. Okay, I never credit him to become the regular champion. I don't count that belt as a credible belt. Okay, yes, in the past I initially credit Keith Thurman as a regular champion, but I have to skin that based off the fact that that's based off the WBA's weird situation of assessing belts only to collect sanctioning fees. I'm not going to credit that anyone becoming a regular champion unless they become the actual champion, which is the super champion. So it is what it is. Now,
win a title. You can dismiss that title all you want.
Yeah, I am.
This is typical when people dismiss certain guys who win titles at some times, but then praise other guys for winning those same titles. I didn't hear you dismissing Danny Jacobs when he won that title.
I did. I just told you that. I did. I never called Danny Jacobs a world champion, okay? All I said was he was a second-tier champion to Golovkin's belt. Let's continue.
Right? But this just shows credibility from some people.
Yeah,
how they choose to pick and choose who they support and what belt matters at that particular time.
Yeah, just like you.
The point was, in 9 fights, Lomachenko has beat great opposition.
No, they're not. They're not great. They're good opposition, but they're not great. But let's go ahead. Let's continue.
And him beating Salido is a good win for his 10th fight to make his record 9-1-7. Right? Which is inevitably what's going to happen. And then people will start hating on that win and discrediting it and shitting all over Salido and saying, oh, he's ducking the other champions. He's ducking Gervonta Davis. Right? We know that Lomachenko wants to unify and is talking about moving up to 135. Those are great fights. And this is for a guy who hasn't had 10 fights as a professional fighter yet. I saw people actually talking about how Rigo's resume was better. Now you're talking like Terence Crawford resume is better. Who has Terence Crawford beat that is a better win than Gary Russell or Nicholas Walters?
I just told you, your boy's Gamboa. That's a very great win. That's a very great win. Okay, now as far as yeah, Gary Russell, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Vasily, Victor Postol. Let me see. No. Let me take that back. Raymond Beltran is a better win than Lomachenko being Gary Russell. Again, who did Gary Russell beat other than Johnny Gonzalez? Nobody else. Raymond Beltran's beaten multiple world champions. Come on, man. Come on. Who are you kidding? Let's continue.
Sosa, I have no doubt, if they were in similar weight classes, would be able to beat almost all the guys on Terence Crawford's resume. Right now, I have Sosa to knock out Gamboa, right, who was legitimately, according to me and most people, the best win on Terence Crawford's resume. I'm not hating on Crawford. You're the one who's comparing resumes and acting as if Lomachenko hasn't done great things so far in his short career, making us have to have this conversation and break it down and be factual, right?
Yeah,
Lomachenko obviously has lots of things to accomplish still in his career. He's 29 years old. He's not finished, Obviously, he has things to do and things to accomplish. And what we know is he wants to do those. He's a guy who was calling out all the guys at 126. None of them wanted him.
Yeah.
He was a guy who then moved up to where? 130.
Exactly.
And was calling out all the guys at 130.
Yeah, exactly. So if they can't fight him, move up.
And now he's calling out guys at 135.
That's fine.
Right?
Mikey Garcia wants to fight.
Not dissimilar to Terence Crawford, who's had 31 fights, 22 by knockouts, and is 22 years old, who is also a two-weight champion, like Lomachenko. But Lomachenko...
Yeah, the difference is Terence Crawford is a unified champion, and Terence Crawford was the lineal champion in both weight classes. Where's Lomachenko in that? Lomachenko has never been a unified champion. He's never been a lineal champion. And you also mentioned Golovkin, too, in that situation. I'm going to correct you on that record, but let's continue.
Did it in how many fights? 7. Right? Well, it's a great victory for Terence Crawford to unify those titles. It's no better than what Sergio Kovalev, Gennady Golovkin, Klitschko, or any other person in the same position was trying to do.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, they both failed flat when they did it. Yes, Kovalev was able to successfully do it against Bernard Hopkins, and yes, Golovkin was successful doing it against David Lemieux. But when it came to getting the undisputed championship route, they both failed miserably of making that fight happen, and they both have to blame themselves for that situation. So you tend to forget that. You make it seem as that it's their opposition's fault why those fights were made. The ball was in their court, and they decided not to go along with it. So yeah, let's continue.
While he's fought a good resume, Ricky Burns, Gamboa, Beltran, Delorme, Jean, Lundy, Postal, Molina Jr., Diaz, good names, but not great names.
Yeah, they're good names, and neither is Lomachenko. Lomachenko don't have great names either. So let's go ahead.
Nobody would say these are great names.
No.
Right? And that's not a criticism. He is still a guy who has lots of things to accomplish in his career.
Exactly. Now, again, when I brought up Vladimir Klitschko in my latest video, he doesn't have great names either. But yet, you give him full credit for what he was able to do at a heavyweight. Talk about the hypocrisy. Let's continue.
These names are very similar to the same kind of guys that Gennady Golovkin was fighting.
No,
and was getting
not even close.
And ripped because he didn't have the elite name on his resume. Well, where is the elite name on Crawford's resume?
Gamboa. Gamboa is a far better name than any of the names that Golovkin is beating. Many would agree with me on that, so let's continue.
And just be fair. If you're going to criticize somebody else for that and make tons of videos and push out tons of hate, label everyone who defends him for showing the hypocrisy from you guys as fanboys, but then goes on
You're a fanboy of Golovkin.
Champions Terence Crawford and say that he belongs pound for pound number 1.
And again, I never say he's pound for pound number 1. Listen to what I say in my videos. But let's continue. All right? I said it again. I'll say it once. I'll say it again. He becomes pound for pound number 1 if he captures the undisputed title from Julius Ndongo. That's why I say he deserves to be pound for pound number one. Not now. Until he does that, then he gets on the pound for pound number one list, in my opinion. But let's continue.
If he's able to do that, you're pushing an agenda, trying to set up the boundaries, the same as people did when
What
they
agenda?
pushed Ward and Kovalev, saying, well, obviously the Ward-Kovalev winner is going to be pound for pound number one.
Yeah, exactly. And Ward is pound for pound number one. Yeah, he is, and he deserves it. But yet you have a problem with it. Oh, because Andre Ward didn't, he struggled against Kovalev. But again, like I said previously, if Sergey Kovalev had won that fight, you would be screaming pound for pound number one for Sergey Kovalev for beating Andre Ward. And you know it. You and others would be screaming that. You would. So come on now. Let's continue.
Not leaving room for anything else, realizing that it's not simple like that. And this is also talking about pound for pound, which is just an opinion poll.
It is.
You guys put way too much emotion and fanboyism in it.
Yeah, so does you.
I don't care who you have number one.
Yeah, you do.
It's your opinion.
Yeah, you do, because you make videos all the time attacking everyone who makes their opinions on pound for pound. Okay? Now, for example, this is a little bit, this is a somewhat relevant discussion. Now, I recall you made a video about Anthony Yard, okay? Now, when Anthony Yard is all of a sudden getting all these praise as an up-and-coming light heavyweight, and he's massively big as a big light heavyweight, you immediately called him a high job. I'm like, whoa, hold up. First of all, Anthony Yard is improving, okay? Yes, he's got a lot of hype on him so far, but the fact is, let him continue to win, let him build his resume, let him still get credible fights in the UK, and then I know he's getting European. I think he's getting another title. He's getting another fight on European level. Then after that, we'll see what he can do on the world level. And yet you calling him a high job. He's only had about 10, 12 pro fights already. Alrighty? So don't sit there and say that we're putting way too much insensitivity to all this. And yet you do the same thing. Just like you did with Anthony Yard in the UK. But let's continue.
The one who made a video criticizing my opinion for having Lomachenko there. Lomachenko, who embarrassed top-level fighters.
Yeah.
Embarrassed them. Just like Crawford just did against Diaz.
Yeah, he embarrassed all the fighters too.
Right? Embarrassed guys. Both of these guys are beating guys and embarrassing them. Which is why I have them both on my number one on my pound for pound list. Because they still have things to do. I'm curious about who's going to step up and do that next great thing. I mean, and like I said in my video, obviously Kovalev Ward winner, if they're able to dominate, make a very good claim for them being pound for pound number one. Just like, right, because of my opinion. But you called me out, shit on me, were very negative, very critical, throwing out...
Being very negative. I mean, Sean, that's what you do. You're very negative when you attack other people for their critique and opinions on certain situations. And yet, every video that you make, it's very negative. Don't be a hypocrite and say that what I do to you is very negative. First of all, I don't attack you out of spite. I do it because you do it to me just like others. Okay? You have an obsession of policing our channels, okay? You don't put any other content of the fact but responses in a negative way towards us. Well, we don't even think about you. But yeah, lately I'm coming after you because you're being a hypocrite on many situations. But when I do that, don't victimize yourself. Don't do that. Just don't be a hypocrite. Don't have a double standard when it comes to certain situations like the IBL, which I'll get to later. Okay, so don't victimize yourself in a situation. Go ahead.
Harsh comments towards me, right, because of my opinion.
No, that's not true.
And now you make a response video, but then you twist things and you don't even focus on the facts.
I do focus on the facts.
I have no problem with people unifying. I've been saying I wanted Gennady to unify since he started talking about it, right? Aren't you one of the guys who was insisting that he moved to 168?
Yeah, exactly. Now, let me tell you something. You tend to forget this little situation with Gennady Golovkin. When Golovkin was having trouble getting fights, right, he was complaining that nobody wanted to fight him in his weight class. Everybody was avoiding him. Everybody was scared of him, right? So him and his team was running on this narrative that Golovkin is the most feared fighter in the world, that nobody's willing to step in the ring with him. So what did they do? They decided to to market it, to create this campaign that, you know what, since the best fighters in my division don't want to fight me, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out other weight classes. I'm going to call out 154. I'm going to call out 160 if the invitation is there for guys at 160 who wants to do it. I'm going to call out 168. I'm going to call out 175. But then when all those best fighters in those division took up on Gennady Golovkin's challenge, what did he do? What did he do? Oh, part 2 is coming up, so hold on. Okay, as I was saying. Now, again, what did Golovkin and his management do when they were getting anxious and upset that nobody wanted to fight him at 160? So they called out 154. They still extended their invitation to any fighter at 160. They extended the invitation to 168. They extended the invitation to 175. And what happened? Many great fighters took up Golovkin's challenge. And they said, okay, we're willing to fight you. Let's do it. And what did Golovkin and his team do? They scale back and they say, you know what? Rather than 154 to 175, let's make it 154 to 168. And then when one of those fighters answered this challenge, like Andre Ward, what did Golovkin and his team do? Oh, it's going to have to be a catchweight. Wait, hold up. You don't call out other weight classes and you want to talk about catchweights, number one. Number two, you had 154 guys who wanted to fight you. You didn't want to fight them. And yeah, I'm going to go there with Erislandy Lar. Yes, Lar's management did admit that they weren't even making an attempt to make that fight after Lar's callouts. Okay, but later down the line, and I will post a link to that to the article. After Lar's last fight, Lar and his team said we're ready to make the fight with Golovkin. Let's make it happen. Golovkin didn't respond. He was dismissive. Okay, and before that, him and his teams came out and said they didn't want that fight. They were not interested in that fight. Okay, first of all, how can you sit there and complain that nobody wants to fight you in your weight class, and when you have people in other weight classes that took up on your challenge, all those after that call out, you want to say you don't want to fight them? Oh, we're going to focus on other options. You don't do that. Okay, that's pretty much a false advertising campaign there, trying to propagate yourself as a fear fighter in the world, one of the most feared fighters in the world. Yet you're not trying to take on challenges. No, you don't do that. Okay. So this is the reason why I criticize Golovkin. I said you can't call yourself the most feared fighter in the world if you're not willing to take on challenges, like the Black Murderers Road members, like Charlie Burley and the Eddie Bookers and the Lloyd Marshalls and the Burt Lydells and the Homer Williams. Those guys didn't fight in their way, didn't sit in one division and complain about people didn't want to fight them. They went up in many weight classes of sought challenges. They even fought heavyweights. I'm not saying Golovkin should go fight a heavyweight. What I'm saying is that, again, if you dare to be great, if you're a very feared fighter, go through weight classes to find challenges like the Black Murderers Road members did. But he didn't do that. He sat there. He was being very selective on who he wanted to fight. He turned down certain fights, and that's well documented. That's very evident, and that's a very fact. You may not like it, but that is the truth. You can spin it as much as you want to by saying, oh, why should Golovkin do this? He was trying to get a fight with Carl Froch. Yeah, he was trying to get a fight with Carl Froch, but why should Carl Froch fight him when Golovkin wasn't the name? Okay? Andre Ward was a name, but he didn't want to take that fight. He wanted to catch weight. That's the bottom line. So, let's continue.
So why now the switch?
I didn't switch anything.
Well,
I told you.
You said why. Because
now, let me continue on that. First of all, now that Golovkin sat in the 160, he's finally getting the fights that he should have gotten. And the reason why he wasn't getting those other fights with those other middleweights because he was lowballing the offers. Now that Billy Joe Saunders has made up his mind and said that, okay, I'm willing to fight you now, Golovkin didn't call his bluff. Golovkin had an opportunity to take that fight with Saunders. But no, he didn't do it because he went after Canelo instead. He wanted the money fight. And Canelo came to his sense and said, I want to fight you. Let's do it. And he decided to go with Canelo. So, yeah, I didn't switch on anything. My only argument is that if you can't fight anybody in your division, then move up. That's the same thing I told Gary Mariga now. Okay? But now that Golovkin is getting fights at middleweight, fine, cool. Don't mention 154, 168, and 175 again. Don't do that. Focus on what you want to do at middleweight. You had a chance to do it with Saunders. You didn't do it. So he blew his opportunity to get that unification bout. But hey, can he beat Canelo and perhaps pursue Saunders after that? That's a possibility. But he had a chance to do it right there, and he didn't do it. So let's continue.
If Crawford does it, then you can justifiably say he's number one. And if anyone disagrees with you and has a different opinion, then you can hate on them.
No, I
right?
don't.
That's
Anybody
what
has
it
a
comes
different
down to.
opinion, but the only thing
This
is that I'm going to debunk it with facts. If you don't like it, then tough shit. Deal with it.
gives you the support behind you to shit on other people's opinions.
No, I
and
don't.
try to make
That's what you
yourself
do.
seem like your opinion is far more superior
It
than
is.
anybody else's in the box.
More than yours, particularly.
You know, you're the one who makes these things personal by trying to come at people sideways with these kind of videos and these kind of comments.
No, I don't.
The point was, they're both great fighters.
Yeah, they are.
Crawford is a great fighter.
Yeah.
And is looking better and better every fight, which is why I moved him into my number one position.
Which makes no sense.
To a little bit of Dan the Man, because of course I've been going on about him, and this is stuff I haven't heard. I only listened to the first 5 minutes and 38 seconds of his 19-minute video, and it made me respond. So let's just listen to a little bit more just to see what else he has to say.
Yeah, let's hear what I have to say.
Rematch to take place. It don't say that I never said that I didn't want that rematch to take place. All it says is it doesn't make sense right now. That's bullshit. You just don't want that rematch because you have a feeling that Orlando Salido might succeed again, and that Lomachenko may not have a way to answer the pressure style of the Salido like he didn't.
Just listen to this stuff. You know, listen.
Exactly.
Really, I'm afraid of Lomachenko fighting fucking Salido.
Yeah, you are.
You know, see, this is where people are just pushing narratives, because never in my life have I talked about him ducking that fight.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. When we were all pushing for Lomachenko to take that rematch, what did you do? You made a response video attacking others for saying that's nonsense. That's bullshit. Why should Salido go backwards and fight? I'm sorry, why should Lomachenko go backwards and fight Salido in a rematch? He has bigger fish to fry. That's what you said in one of your videos. Why all of a sudden now that you're switching? Let's continue.
I even said it would be a good fight, get that out of the way. But if there
No,
are
you didn't.
bigger, better opportunities, like unification fights, which you are pushing in this video for Terrence Crawford, but for some reason...
Yeah, but he's not getting them. How come Crawford's able to get unification fights? Crawford, in my opinion, is a more dangerous fighter than Lomachenko. How come that Lomachenko can't get a unification fight right now? I tell you why. Like I mentioned, he's lowballing offers with the other champions. Let's continue.
ducking those with Lomachenko. Right? You know, wouldn't it be more significant if Lomachenko beat unified champions to get those titles instead of beating a guy who hasn't beat a top level 130 fucking pound fighter since he moved to the weight?
Yeah, that'll only work if he's actually trying to work to get those fighters made and stop lowballing the offers. Now, if you're gonna do that, then avenge your loss. That's the next big thing you can do. Avenge your loss, Orlando Salido. Then fine. If the other champions are not gonna take up on the offers that you're giving them, which is lowball, then go up and fight Mikey Garcia and see what you can do there at 135. No problem with that. My thing is, again, I said, why is Crawford able to get unification bouts? Then Lomachenko. Let's continue.
But okay, to have that answer for in the first fight. But it is what it is, all right?
Yep.
And let's go on further on Lomachenko's resume. Has Lomachenko made an attempt to unify with any other champion in his weight classes?
Yeah, we talked about
Featherweight,
Corrales.
super featherweight?
He fucking offered Corrales a contract. Corrales didn't take it. So then
Yeah, exactly. He lowballed the offer. He lowballed the offer to Corrales. So let's be realistic.
he
Let's
fought
continue.
Sosa. He just called out everybody at 126 before moving to 130, and now he's openly called out everybody at 130. He's doing the same thing Deontay Wilder did at heavyweight, and you and other people praise him for that, but you're going to act like it's never happened at this division.
Well, hold on. Let's make that clear. When Deontay Wilder, before he got the WBC belt, yes, I was praising Deontay Wilder for doing what he's doing because he wanted to line himself in to get a big money fight, get big fights with all these other champions before he became a champion. I praise Wilder for trying to make a name for himself by doing that. Okay? Now, after he beat Stavern, right? He went out there and put and gave a dumbass interview with Fight Hype, something I did not appreciate Wilder for doing, okay? And this is where I criticize him for this. When he was asked about Vladimir Klitschko, like a few days after he won the world title for Stavern, which I was very happy that he won, he went out and said that, you know what? I'll fight Vladimir, but he's got to do it on my terms. I have the most prestigious belt, so Vladimir has to come see me if he wants to fight me. I'm not gonna go over to Germany or wherever. He's gonna have to come to the U.S. and fight me. Now, I criticize Wilder for that. Okay, I did not like that change of approach that he did after he won that title. Okay, and yes, Wilder shouldn't get upset that Anthony Joshua is now the cash cow. Now he's the most, he's the guy that you have, if you want to get paid, he's the guy that you have to beat. And yes, he's the most popular heavyweight right now. Okay, yeah, Wilder has himself to blame in that situation because, in my opinion, he had an opportunity to take that Klitschko fight before Joshua did, and yeah, so there's no argument there on that.
You praised Spence for doing it at 147, but you're gonna act like Lomachenko isn't doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I told you, the only problem is that there's a difference between calling people out and not fulfilling, and not making them come to fruition. You can call many people you want out, but if you're going to lowball offers to these fighters, yeah, they're not going to want to fight you. See, you're not bringing that up. Why didn't you bring up the fact that Lomachenko's lowballed offers with Salido the first time when the rematch? When Salido agreed to do the rematch, but yet he wanted to lowball him, just like he did with Jesus Corrales or Israel Corrales. Same thing with him. Okay. And now Golovkin and his team finally realized that after lowballing the offers of the other middleweights, if they give them the offers that they want, they can actually get them in the ring with them. That's exactly what they're doing now. Right business move now. That's what Tyson had to do when he went to get the other heavyweights to fight him in his prime in the 80s. So, yeah, let's continue.
Right? This just shows how biased you are.
No, I'm not.
And how you choose to see some things and just ignore others completely.
No, that's not true.
No. Yes, I know Gervonta Davis has rolled out a fight against him, and yes, Gervonta Davis and Floyd need to be criticized for that move because you can't call yourself the best champion in the division if you're refusing to fight the other champion. Alright? So, yes. Alright, but as far as that's not the point. The point is that Lomachenko has yet to unify with anyone. Has Lomachenko became a universally recognized champion in any of the divisions that he's fought in? No. Guess who has? Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is the recognized unified champion.
Guess who has?
Yeah, exactly.
Gennady Golovkin.
Wait, hold on. How do you switch from Lomachenko to Golovkin? But anyways, let's continue.
You didn't praise him for doing that.
Well, first of all, Golovkin is not a lineal champion. Canelo Alvarez is the lineal champion. You may not like that, but that's a fact. Golovkin, yeah, he's a unified champion, but the fact is he didn't win his other 2 titles in the ring. Crawford won all his titles in the ring. There's a major difference. Major difference. So don't compare the two. I mean, that's idiotic attempt, but it is what it is. So I'm not going to give Golovkin any praise for that. Okay, he's got to have to win his titles in the ring just like all the other fighters have. Now, let's continue.
But now you're praising Crawford for doing it.
Yeah, exactly, because he won all his titles in the ring, as I mentioned.
Right? Are you going to act like you didn't see Gennady Golovkin beat Lemieux to unify titles?
Yeah, again, Golovkin didn't win the WBA title in the ring. He was gifted that title when he first won it in an interim fashion. Then he was elevated to regular champion, which is a second-tier belt. In those years when Felix Stern was a champion, Felix Stern was ducking him. And by the way, Bloodbox, and shout out to him, he pointed this out perfectly. Why didn't you and others make videos about Felix Stern ducking Golovkin for those many years? Huh? Really? Why didn't you guys do that? I'll tell you why. Because you guys never heard of Golovkin. Nobody, you guys never heard of him until 2015 or 2014. So let's continue.
And now basically he's fighting Canelo, which would have been the unification belt that he was given. So here's his second unification fight.
It's not a unification fight, you dummy. Let's continue.
Joe Saunders fight going on. But didn't you push him to go to 168?
Exactly, because he's the one who's complaining about not fighting anybody at 160. Okay? But now he wanted to play these games of moving the goalposts and choose who he wants to fight at the right place at the right time. Yeah, I criticize him for that. Again, I have to repeat myself. Don't call out other divisions if you really have no intentions of moving up. I have the reason to believe that he had no intentions of doing so. He was playing games just to try to move the goalposts and see what would be the best fight to take one off and then come back down. Bottom line. The bottom line is that they had no intentions of moving out of the weight class. He was playing games. That's all he was doing. Let's continue.
And you had no interest in him unifying, right?
Champion right now at super lightweight. He was the linear recognized lightweight champ, at lightweight. I'm sorry, let me take that back. Chance Crawford is the universe.
Hey, are you drinking again? Let's continue.
Recognized champion. Two different weight classes. One at lightweight and one currently at super lightweight. And he's the unified champion. Okay? And now you want to discredit that win against Victor Paul. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't you and your buddies pressure Crawford to take that fight? And
maybe you should go watch my videos. I never pressured Crawford to fight Postol. So don't put those words in my mouth.
Yeah, you did.
Weren't your buddies also pressuring Crawford to fucking take that fight?
Yeah.
I'm sure Dream Chaser and some other guys
yeah, we all did.
for that fight as well.
Yeah.
So don't push that on me.
Yeah.
I said, why the fuck would he fight Postol, who just finally had a significant win on his resume, but still nobody knows who he is?
It's a unification fight, dummy. That's why.
Which would be a huge victory and help build his brand far better than a fucking Postol. That's what I've said, and I've consistently said that.
Yeah, but he got a unified title, so wasn't that more significant?
Because this is what you always do.
No, I don't.
You align me with other people's comments that I've never said. You know, I'm on multiple fucking videos protesting the forcing of Crawford to fight Postol, right? I said, fine, I have no problem with him fighting Postol, just like I have no problem with Crawford fighting Indongu. But it's not like it needs to be the next fight that happens.
Yes, it does.
And I was proven correct because the pay-per-view was dismal. And it didn't.
First of all, as I told you again, undisputed or unification fights does not necessarily have to be on pay-per-view. If you go back to my previous videos, I pointed out many undisputed championship fights that were never broadcast on pay-per-view. Like, for example, Jean-Marc Mormick, when he fought O'Neal Bell for the Cruiserweight undisputed title 11 years ago, and O'Neal won that fight. That fight was not on pay-per-view. And O'Neal Bell was the last undisputed champion on record. That fight was on Showtime. That was on the undercard of the undisputed fight between Zab Judah and Carlos Baldomir. And a year before that, or a couple years, I think it was a couple years or 1 year before that, Corey Speaks fought Zab Judah for the undisputed title. And yes, Corey Speaks won the first fight. And the second fight, Zab Judah won in the rematch. Kasazu versus Zab Judah for the undisputed light welterweight title. Kasazu won that fight. That was not a pay-per-view fight. And that was the last undisputed light welterweight champion, Kasazu. So don't push this stupid narrative that every unification or undisputed championship fight has to be on pay-per-view. And besides, since you want to go use that angle, many of us argue that Crawford's fight with Postol should not have been on pay-per-view. We argue that. We all knew he was in the crossover star. So what's the point of you bringing that up?
Help propel Crawford into a bigger name in boxing. But let's continue to listen to you spit false accusations.
No, it's not false
some of
accusations.
your buddies were accusing Crawford for ducking
Not me.
Yeah,
for ducking
you did.
Postol, right? But then when Chance Crawford embarrassed and humiliated him, then y'all say you want to call him a bum.
Yep, that's what you're doing.
Typical.
Not me.
Yeah, you did.
Typical.
You did, dude. You just did. You just did. In the beginning of your presentation, you called Postol a bum. Come on, not directly, but you're saying that his Crawford's win against Postol is not valued. That's what you just said.
Like for you guys, I mean, for you particularly, because you always contradict yourself, and I also find it very strange too. I'm gonna backtrack this a little bit. I find it very strange that you're an educator, right? And you made a video blasting African Americans, particularly the LDBC channels, because you were targeting them the most. You blasted them about their miseducation, about them being uneducated, right? Yeah, here you go trying to lecture us about American history. Yeah, you didn't even know who the fuck Harry Tubman was.
I knew Harry.
No, you didn't.
All
No,
right.
you didn't.
And it's funny too because when the news came out that her
No, you
portrait
didn't.
will be
No,
replaced
you didn't know who she was. But let me
Andrew
continue.
Jackson on the $20 bill, you went on.
See, this is what he does. He doesn't want to talk about the topic.
I
He
did.
wants to pull out this kind of stuff to try to make me look bad.
Well, you
Yes,
made yourself look
I
bad by
said
putting out that video.
I don't know if Harriet Tubman was the best face to put on on the money, right? And I stand by that. And it's not racist to say that she was ugly.
No, first of all, you didn't say she was ugly. Maybe you did in one sense of the video, but you did say that people will find it very offensive that her face is on a $20 bill. Now, when you mention that, that is a derogatory slander towards her color and ethnicity. Anybody can read between the lines, Sean. So you're telling me what you said was not racist? You telling me what you say was not xenophobic? To say that it was offensive to put her on a $20 bill rather than Andrew Jackson, a guy who signed legislation as president of the United States to slaughter the Native Americans and take away the rest of their homeland? Come on, dude.
Right? You could say that it's bad taste or whatever you want, but that was also a comment in response to somebody who was fucking trolling me. So maybe you should
Mike
watch
Sowell,
the video
who
prior.
had to educate you on that, but you didn't appreciate it. And shout out to Big Mike Sowell, by the way.
To that before you respond to one comment. And also, this video when I was talking about ebonics in the LDBC, it was also a response to John Boxing and people that are trolling. So maybe you should also go watch those videos as well.
Yeah, first of all, I listened to that video, and you brought up the fact that ebonics. Yeah, okay. First of all, yeah, I remember that time that that the urban communities were trying so hard to get these students to pass standardized tests and whatnot. So they thought the best way to do it is to teach them the ebonics form of English, so that way they could help them better understand and get them the courses they need to get through. So that way they, these schools can pass the standardized tests, so they can receive funding for other projects. So that's besides the point. The point is that I think you went too far with that situation by using the ebonics argument to make them seem like that the LDBC crew is very stupid. That's what you were trying to do. That's what you angled it for, and then you and your dumbass supporters went along with it. Okay, so let's continue.
This is a response to somebody else pushing fucking complete bullshit. John Boxing, who was pushing what? Was pushing black superiority, right, over whites in videos. And I tried to make the point that this is how fucking ignorant that is. Look, if I said something derogatory about blacks and how it would be fucking, accepted and taken from people. And you just validate my point by showing that, you got bent out of shape by my video, but you gave John a pass, or you didn't even fucking watch his video.
Well, first of all, I didn't know about that video. And second of all, if John did make that video, he's totally wrong for that. I don't agree with him making videos like that, okay? First of all, I'm not here to talk about tribalism and when it comes to sports, okay? However, I will say this. You have a problem with the LDBC members talking about social issues that impacts our people, okay? You realize, and I think you made a comment about this, the fact that you have a problem with them talking about the oppression that we have to go through every fucking day. Yes, we're not living in the 1950s anymore. We're not in the the pre-construction era, we're not in the era pre-Civil War, okay? But the fact is, the issues are still outstanding, and they have a platform where they come out and voice their concerns like we didn't have back then, okay? And it seems like you have a problem when they do that, okay? So why does it bother you that they talk about social issues that affects them the most, and yet you cry victim? And you cry victim and you slander them for talking about social issues. That makes no sense. So let's continue.
Because you didn't care, because what he was saying doesn't affect you because you're not white.
That's not true.
Right?
Not true. So you're trying to tribalize the situation.
This is the same as when I made the video, White Kings of Boxing. Right? Other people made Black Kings of Boxing, but that wasn't offensive to people.
Of course not. First of all, when Dream Chaser made the video Black Kings of Boxing, he was referring to the African American great fighters. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that you took offense to that and you decided to mock him with that title, White Kings of Boxing. That's exactly what you did, and that's why I called you out on that live hangout with the librarian. Okay. So let's continue.
That was okay, acceptable. You even admitted that's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing derogatory to say the Black Kings of Boxing. You can say the Black Greats, which is the Black Kings of Boxing, just like the Black Greats of who played basketball. There's nothing wrong with that. Or the Latino Greats, the Latino Kings of baseball. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's continue.
But what I tried to do is mock them. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I used a name.
No, you did, because you saw the title that Dream Chaser put out, and you were very offended by that. So let's continue.
People who didn't see their video wouldn't even fucking understand that I was making that connection. My video talked about white fighters in boxing today, and it didn't have one negative thing to say about any black boxer in the video. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
I only focused on those particular fighters and propped them up for what they were doing in boxing. It was not a negative video at all. But you took it as negative.
Because you went after Dream Chaser when he made that video.
When they said Black Kings of Boxing, which was far more negative,
No, it
You
wasn't.
agree with them and you give them a pass. See, this is the hypocrisy that you continuously push, always looking at one side of the argument and then not looking at the other side.
I do. I look at both sides of the argument. That's why I remain neutral, dummy. When I don't agree with your arguments, you call me being biased, just like the other clowns. Okay, first of all, when I was going after Floyd Mayweather, you and others praised me for doing that. But yet, when I decided to go against fighters that you want to be emotionally attached to, it's a problem. Now I'm being biased. Now I'm not being neutral. Please, please.
Only focusing on what I said, but then ignore the response that it came from, right? But that's fine. You consistently do this. Right now you're bringing up this topic, but this has nothing to do with Lomachenko and Terence Crawford. But this is what you constantly do.
Yeah, exactly, because I had to bring it up.
Here you are, doing it.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And then misquoting me.
I didn't misquote you.
Attaching me to statements I never made, which is what you always do.
No, I don't.
Right? And saying that I'm hating on Crawford, even though I'm openly saying Crawford is on my number one fucking spot on my pound for pound.
It makes no sense why you put him on pound for pound number one, although you say the Lomachenko's done far greater things than him. That makes no sense.
Hating on a guy who I have on my number one position.
I never said you hated on him. I just say you're wrong.
Consistent, right? What people try to do, they try to push the negativity to try to basically label somebody in a negative way to take away their voice so that people don't listen to the valid points that they're making, right? So
I'll be back. All right, I'm back.
Irate about that. You said, quote, that nobody's gonna buy that fucking money. People are gonna be highly offensive when they see her face on a $20 bill. And then when I confronted you about that, you denied that you ever said that. And it's funny too because I quoted the exact.
No, there was two videos. One that I made that was not offensive in the least, and not until people started attacking me and coming at me, and then somebody made a repugnant video, did I fucking fire back with this overly emotional response, which later I apologized for, and I said that, obviously I was being too rash in saying it. But that is not a racist comment. It's an offensive comment because I am talking about somebody who is historical and loved and revered by many, but stating a fact that the people who are criticizing me would totally fucking agree with, if we're just having beers and talking about it. But
no, that's when you're drunk, like you.
Words you said in that video, and coward ass took down that video because you didn't want that. You was getting a severe backlash for it.
I took it down because I knew it was an offensive thing that upset people. This is the difference between me, you, and other people who take down videos where their points are proven wrong.
No, I don't take down my videos.
Fighter, but then are proven that they're incorrect, and then pull those down so people
can't
point
you've done
to
it,
those and go,
which you hopefully admitted to.
I think you would find
word.
How is calling a woman ugly racist?
No, just the way you describe it, as I mentioned. When you say that people would find her face to be very offensive, in a way, nobody's going to buy that fucking money. You rather keep Andrew Jackson on there. Yeah, that's a problem. That's very derogatory, and that seems very xenophobic by that remark. Anybody can read between the lines, but let's continue.
There's many fine black women, I would say, are fine.
Name them.
I have no issue with it. Through high school, all the girls I slept with were black women.
Liar.
In university, almost every single black woman that went to my university I slept with, as well as other people. So, no, I have no problem with black women.
If that's not a definition of a xenophobe, then you tell me what is, all right? And what's your obsession with these black channels like myself? Huh?
I don't have an obsession.
Yes, you do.
We're talking boxing. I have a difference of opinion. I also have issues with white channels like Boxing Librarian and other people as well. So, but you and others ignore that, right?
Well, yeah, and I also mentioned Precise Presenter. When he came after you twice, you didn't respond to him. In fact, you made a very somewhat timid response, but not really launching a video tirade like you've done towards me and others in the past. Why didn't you go after Precise Presenter when he came after you? Let's continue.
Because we have a different opinion in boxing, because that's what it comes down to. But you guys need to make this an issue about color.
No, I don't. You do.
I don't fucking care what color you are, Dan the Man. It doesn't fucking bother me at all. Before we started fucking going...
Really? Let me ask you this. If that's the case, then why did you get so agitated far more than when I questioned you on the live hangout rather than the librarian. Because when the librarian was questioning you, you seemed to be very calm, cool, and collective. But when I questioned you, you were being very agitated. You were being highly offensive when I gave you legitimate questions about certain fighters that you claim you have knowledge of. Your behavior changed very different. You had a very different behavior when I came on that hangout that day. So, yeah, I find that extremely odd.
In each other, and you know it's true. I fucking supported you and praised your videos.
Exactly, when I criticized Floyd Mayweather.
Attacking me over Golovkin. An opinion, right?
Yeah, let me tell you why. Because you and your other clowns, clown supporters, you guys attacked great fighters by propagating Golovkin, like Hopkins and Hagler, for example. Okay, when I said, look, I like Gennady Golovkin, I think he's a great fighter, but I think he got work to do. I don't think he's on the level of those guys yet. He still got it. He hasn't accomplished what they have accomplished yet. And what did you do? You said, well, what did they accomplish? Fighting blown up welterweights? And I said, well, wait a minute, hold on. Welterweights have historically fought middleweights. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is those guys moved up and fought those guys, and they were middleweights when they fought them. You can't discredit Hopkins for doing that, and neither did Hagler. And then what do you and your dumbass supporters say? They say, well, they fought real middleweights. They will never fight welterweight. Well, the only argument is like, well, that's not true because, first of all, Golovkin will never fight a welterweight. He'll never fight small guys. Well, that's untrue because he's fought a lot of 154 guys who are very small, number one. Number two, he was pursuing fights with Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather for years. In which, by the way, you denied that's not true what he did say. And I proved to you that he did. Golovkin was trying to pursue fights with those guys for years. And soon as Golovkin fights Kell Brook, which he was openly being a hypocrite about doing, which he said he'll never take that measure, even though he's lied about it in the past, you used the same argument against another guy who came after Golovkin for fighting Kell Brook. You told him exactly what I told you, that, hey, welterweights have fought middleweights in the past. They do it all the time. So that's my only problem, is that you guys trying to put him above the all-time greats, and he hasn't even accomplished nowhere near what Hopkins and Hagler has done. Nowhere near it. And that's the truth. He hasn't fought the opposition that they've fought. And I know you don't like it, but that's a fact. You keep saying that his resume is similar to theirs. It's not similar. Stop lying to everyone. It's not similar. If Gennady Golovkin retires today, trust me, he will not be ranked as high as those guys were. He never will. Let's be honest, because there's far more great middleweights who's ranked higher than Gennady Golovkin. You have the Harry Graves, you have the Tony Zales, you have the Sugar Ray Robinson, even though he's a career welterweight, but he had a great middleweight run. You could probably put Robinson in there as probably one of the best middleweights, in a way. Okay? You have, who else? Jake LaMotta. I can go on and on and on, but let's continue. Carlos Monzon.
An opinion that I was supporting a fighter I like, but that bent you out of shape.
No, it didn't.
Right. But let's keep going. Why do fighters like Golovkin, Serge Kovalev, and Lomachenko, why are you offended by them?
I'm not offended by them.
Perpetuate the same stories you do with Crawford that you do with these guys.
I'm not offended by them. I don't offended by them. My only problem is like, well, not with Kovalev per se. My problem is with you guys do with Golovkin and now Lomachenko. You're propagating them far above the pedestal that they haven't accomplished anything. That's my problem. Yes, they've accomplished some things, but as far as putting them on a pedestal against, with other great fighters, and like, for example, Lomachenko, you're trying to put him above the pedestal of Andre Ward, I got a problem with that. Hell, I got a problem with you putting him above Kovalev. Lomachenko hasn't done nowhere near what Kovalev has done. So that's my problem. But yet, when I use actual arguments, even if I have to blend a little bit of history in it, you got a problem with it. You take offense to it, not me. So let's continue.
A fetish for us. It's very disturbing, man.
A fetish.
Yeah, you do have a fetish. One of your comments came at you with this when you made this video.
Behave this way. Now,
I behave what way? I think you are the one that's throwing out offensive comments towards me. I'm having a civil conversation.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're lying. Every time people like Dream Taster, like myself, or even the boxing librarian, or Dante, who doesn't respond to you, every time they make a video about their opinions on certain situations, when they look at certain stories and fights or potential fights that could be made, if there's something they say something that you don't like, you make an immediate response in a negative way to attack them, so that way you can steer the hate that your followers have towards guys like me and them. That's what you do all the time. If that's not a form of negativity, then you tell me what is. You're not offering an objective opinion. You're just offering innuendo. It's slander. That's what you do, and you built your whole platform on that. Let's continue.
Let's be honest. If you were employed as an educator here in the States or in Canada, where you're from, and you're making all these videos, these racially motivated and making these xenophobic tirades, then you wouldn't have a job. That's the reason why you're in Taiwan, because that's a safe haven.
See, this is typical making asinine, stupid fucking comments.
No, it's not an asinine, stupid comment. It's the truth.
So the people I respond to, they have a free pass to say whatever they want. But
as again, if they want to talk about social issues that impact them, so be it. That's their freedom. But it seems like you have a problem with it. Let's continue.
If I respond, and I'm not even using racial language, I'm not even focusing on...
No, you don't have to use racial language. But if you haven't taken a look at your thumbnails on all the videos, look who are those thumbnails directing, Sean? Think about it. And the fact that you called the black channels cockroaches. Come on, what type of language are you using there? That's a code word, man. You're not fooling anybody.
Race, but then all of a sudden you need to label everything I say based on race, right?
Yeah, your comments and your videos and the comments you allow your followers to call black guys niggers and all that stuff. I've seen those comments, okay? And yet there was one guy that was calling another dude a nigger, and then you told the other guy who was responding to him at a defense to get a life. You didn't even erase those comments. You didn't even police it. So don't sit there and say that I'm not a racist, but yeah, you allow that type of language on your channel against us. So let's continue.
Pulling out the race card, which is something that has consistently been done on YouTube, supporting a Filipino fighter. I had an issue. You started the issue with me about Gennady Golovkin, right? My videos first started on YouTube, which ended up having me first start to make videos in response, because just being targeted this way had me fucking feel I needed to voice my opinion and point out these obvious double standards from many of these black channels on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
I never had an issue. You started the issue with me about Gennady Golovkin.
That's not true.
Right?
You started this issue by trying to slander Hopkins and Hagler to propagate Golovkin. That's when I had a problem with. But when I came at you with facts about Golovkin's resume, you took highly offense to it. So you started this, not me.
And then push out that I'm hating on B-Hop
and
you are. Hagler. When all I said was, look at the similarities. These three fighters are great middleweights.
Nah, as I mentioned, you didn't point out the similarities until Golovkin fought her down welterweight. And second of all, even if you try to say that they have similarities, first of all, again, Hagler and Hopkins has fought way better opposition than Golovkin. That's the bottom line. Bottom line. If you don't like it, then tough luck.
One guy is still fighting, trying to prove himself. These two, hateful, negative, or wrong. It's factually correct. But you want to twist it and turn it and act like this isn't valid, right?
It's not.
To push whatever negative sort of thing you want to push, because obviously you don't want to give these guys any props.
I do.
For whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's racial with you. I have no idea. But on my list, I have a black guy and a white guy, number one. I'm a huge supporter of Anthony Joshua.
Hold the phone. Cop out. First of all, you can't. First of all, I know you're trying to use this angle. You're saying that you can't call me racist because I support black athletes. I have highest regard for some black athletes. First of all, that's like saying Pat Buchanan is not an isolationist. He's not a nationalist, but yeah, he's not a racist. If you have no idea who Pat Buchanan is, let me explain to you. Okay, yeah, Pat Buchanan is a political commentator, very intellectual guy, but he's a well-known nationalist, and yes, he has shown some form of anti-Semitism. Semitism. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the word. But anyways, Buchanan has made some derogatory remarks against minorities, against Jews, for his entire career as an advisor to the various presidential administrations, as a commentator, and as an author. Okay. Now, he is a well-known bigot and a well-known anti-Semite. All right. The fact is, is that he praises people like George Washington Carver after Reconstruction. Okay, let's take Japan and Romania, for example. Now, Michael Jackson, his biggest fans came out, in my opinion, not just in Europe, but in my opinion, his biggest fans came from Japan and Romania. And yet, Romania and Japan has a history of discrimination towards minorities, particularly against African descent people. They have a history of it. In Japan, I find kind of weird because they have a history of racism towards African descent people and immigrants that come to their country, but yet they embrace the hip hop urban black culture over there. That's kind of weird. But again, you can't use a word. You can't say that I'm a fan of Anthony Joshua and say I'm not a racist, but yet you have people who revere Michael Jackson, particularly in Romania and Japan, and they have a history of being racist towards African descent people. Pat Buchanan, same thing. He highly praises George Washington Carver, but yet he has a problem with minority groups and Jewish people. So let's continue.
And historically, black fighters are all the guys I looked up to and followed throughout my fucking, youth as a boxing fan. And I'm also a basketball fan. Who do you think I support?
Yeah. I ain't gonna listen to any more of that. All right. Look, the bottom line is this. Stop being a hypocrite, okay? And I think you also mentioned that you will gladly meet me in a bar and whatnot. We could talk about sports. We could talk about anything you want to. Really? Is that the case? I tell you what, I'm going to take you up on your offer. If you come to the States, let me know where and when. I'll gladly meet you there. Let me know what bar you're going to be, and I'll be there. And we can have a adult conversation, man to man. All right, how about that? And better yet, let me make you another offer. If you don't like it when I'm targeting you, not targeting you, I should say, when I come after you out of retaliation, if you don't like it, won't you stop policing the LDBC channels? Stop targeting Train Jacer. Stop targeting the one LVC. Stop targeting, well, I don't think you'd target him in a long while. Stop targeting 78. Stop targeting Blood. And the non-LDBC channels, the Boxing Librarian. Stop. Well, actually, no, he is part of it. Yeah. Well, stop targeting the Boxing Librarian, okay? If you leave those guys alone and let them focus on issues that they want to focus on, then I'll make a deal that I will stop coming after you. How about that? And won't you make a positive video for a change, okay? Won't you talk about, informative information about the sport rather than someone else's opinion? Because that's all you ever can do, and that's all you ever done. Okay? So how about you do that? And also, when are you ever going to learn that you can never beat me in a debate? All right? You just keep coming and coming, man. You just don't stop. But like I said, I can keep doing this with you all day if you want. Anyhow, it is what it is. So, I'm out. Peace.